see, I just thought it sounded so good, so I ended up using it. This Roblania Records soundtrack I exclusively made it. Whoops, that's funny. I exclusively made it for this movie. So what you're hearing was exclusively made for this specific intro to play. And this part I found on YouTube. It was an uncopyrighted version of Raimi movie soundtrack, the score by Danny Alfred. And it was copyright free, so I just ended up taking it. I think there's just a ton of reverb or something, or maybe it's a cover, I have no idea. But it sounds insanely similar to the original. I'm just gonna skip the intro.
Somebody told you.
I put Omni on here because I forgot to put Omni in the end, which you know is how long did it take to make the whole movie? The movie took over a year, so it took over a year. We started in December. Well, I started the movie. I started making the sets in December, and we ended up releasing in January, a full year after. So it did take a while, and I think you know.
Are you sure you want to know?
I think it.
If somebody told you that my story was like one of the rest.
So there's actually an unused version of this monologue right here.
Somebody lied.
And it's one with Shauna Poth.
Must go back to
and I
where it
think
all
I'm gonna
began.
release that deleted scene with Shauna Poth very, very soon. I think it's very interesting because he was my first pick to play the role, and it was he really embodied the role. But unfortunately, it couldn't happen because he was not able. He was too busy. So I needed someone who was dedicated and willing and ready to do every single line the way I needed to nail it exactly. Realized the only person that would care enough is me. So this is actually an Omnioran action figure from RWI, my federation, and it's. I put it in here just you can see there's so many cameos. Mysterio Munch, this right here, makes an appearance all throughout the place. And if you read the ingredients, you can't read it because it's not viewable. There's like I think there's like acid in there. There's weed, just a bunch of drugs. But luckily you don't see it. This picture was made exclusively for the film. So what you're seeing right now, that desktop image was made specifically for that computer. What you'll notice about it is that the lighting is very, very off. You'll also see he's in a suit, and that's because I was originally going to have the characters in a. I wanted to have them have school uniforms, but I ended up not going with that. And this is just a standard Roblox house that you're able to get. And I scattered clothes around the floor. You'll notice that too. This picture, the alarm. This is a bathroom. I'm just gonna speed this up real quick, just because I don't feel like you guys want. I don't feel like the playback. Maybe just the whole thing. So if you notice, these are Raw Wrestling shirts. Like this says OMG rigged. He has a World Heavyweight Championship replica in the background. And these are all just tidbits. So see, there's a bunch of RWI cameos. There's an RWI and this is actually from the PS4 game. The web shooter that he has. This is with different lighting. This set was made by AJC. Originally, I had I had a like a stock school, but luckily AJC was able to come in and he came in and made the sets. So this is right now Peter. If you notice throughout this entire scene, you don't see Peter picking up anything. That's because he's not picking up anything. It's kind of like a pseudo. Don't you get banned? Yeah, I got banned for uploading like a book cover. Well, we'll get into that once I get to the thing. But he's not actually, if you notice, he's not picking up anything. All the stuff scattered around the floor. There's nothing he's picking up, and that's just kind of like a little thing you'll notice. Like a lot of stuff when I'm animating, nobody's actually doing anything.
Look at you! Oh my God, that's what you get.
And
yeah.
But it's just about using the camera to the full extent that you can. And this whole entire intro, by the way, I had to redo because there's some test footage that I'll probably release. I might release it, I might not. But there's some test footage that actually has completely different lighting. I ended up opting for kind of this yellowish grainy stuff that you see in a lot of movies, and particularly in the Raimi movies, the very yellow. I don't know how to word it, but that's how it is.
I'm an influencer.
And there's a whole. I cut straight into this conversation, but there's a whole different, like there's a whole beginning part. Oh, and you know what? I think you guys. Oh man, there's also Jackson Steiner who plays himself. There's a scene. The whole intro was completely different. Sloppy, who plays Kingpin. He actually played Harry. So the demo has Jackson as Jackson, Sloppy as Harry, and then Sean as Peter, which I might actually really want to.
I did think it took confirmed viewers on my live stream yesterday.
Swear to God, man, if I tried selling
And this is Omni. Harry is actually
Welcome to
Omni's
Brightside. I've got a free trip to one of the greatest
NPC.
companies that have ever experimented on cross-species genetics. I've got some stuff in the works, so I think if you guys are willing not to argue with each other, we can.
It's just some nice stuff. This bridge was never used in the movie. There's actually a bridge here, like a real, fully made bridge that he could swing on, whatever. But I never ended up having. I think AJC just gave it to me randomly, but I never ended up using it for anything. But that's why I did use it for this specific shot though. Oh, and the bus. Oh, I don't know. There's an unused footage where there's a bus. There's a bus. And this "Stay Out of the Way, Parker" was actually added when I met Amari, and he did the voice lines for it, so I actually added this in. And a lot of this was actually redone, the specific scene where he's at the Oscorp, and I had there's a bunch of footage that I ended up deleting because I wanted to redo this. This whole conversation with Jackson, completely redone from the first time that I did it.
It's Oscorp. If I want to come
And
here, I just ask
I'll
Harry's
just
dad.
kind of
See if I can get a crazy spin on it.
There's some stuff here. If you look here, there's actually different color spiders. I don't know if you can get a look, but they're all different sizes, and I try to make it as thing as possible given the font. And there's a spider. This camera shot. This is an original soundtrack, by the way. Release the stuff. This footage right here with the spiders. Let me see if I can get a shot. This is from the original Raimi movies. I got this from the original. So what you're seeing is actually not. It's not stock footage or anything. I got it straight up from the movie. Put it in.
You okay there, Peter?
And this part I improved where I did not plan on
think what
having him
it's
wake up to like the blurriness or whatever.
Yo.
Oh, and this right here, the shot of that camera is actually because I realized I needed a shot of the camera, so I went back in and rather than having to redo the whole scene, I just took a picture and then did a slideshow of it. Like, you know, it's a little camera zoom.
Jackson got kicked out for trying to interview some janitor or something, so we're headed out of here. Peter, hey.
And then he picks it up
do you wanna
again.
do
A lot of
something
stuff
interesting or take
happens
more pictures
off
of
screen,
They're arachnids,
which is
sorry.
just a safe.
Well, they're arachnids.
Ever. When?
You
There
know
we
what
go.
I mean.
If you're not doing anything, you can.
And that's a Top Dogs from UWI, the tag team. Sweatshirt.
What in the Captain America is going on?
Captain America reference.
I kinda like this.
Well, maybe I can point out the posters. Okay, so there's a lot of posters that's in his room, and a lot of it is related to Raw Wrestling. So that's an RWI 400 poster. Let me see if you can please, Peter, move. That's the OWA Championship. In case nobody noticed, the Online Wrestling Alliance. I wanted to include some science posters because obviously. Oh my God, I'm just realizing this. There's two Peters in this shot. Did I never remove Peter off the bed? Okay, so that's kind of embarrassing. There's two Peters in this. I never even noticed that. Did anyone notice that? Oh God, that's weird. Okay, so I had different rigs of Peter to do different scenes, different parts, and I guess I just left one on the bed. That's embarrassing. Oh my God. Okay, well, that's weird. So there's an OWA Fear Factor poster. That's the UWI ring canvas, and that's a Pro Wrestling meme behind him. There's the science. There's Ben making coffee, and he's just very angry because it never works. There's a feast card right there.
Laid off after 35 years, will be a clock in the paper and see.
This was the dialogue was
What do we got
ripped
here?
straight from the
Computer.
Raimi movies.
30 and somehow with me.
This is the soundtrack. Oh, if you notice, very slowly, Peter actually flips over a excuse me. What is it? A telephone pole? I don't know. Like the poles or street lamp. He flips over it, but it's very hard to notice because it's so short. So you'll also notice here there's a street that looks really similar to when Ben drives Peter to Mason's repair shop before he dies. This is because this is actually the street with Ben and Peter when they have the great responsibilities. The thing is though, Mason's repair shop isn't here because I actually switched it. Because I realized I wanted it to, it would fit better here from it just as like, I don't know, director point of view. It looked way better on there. So I ended up moving it, but there's still some shots in the movie, and it's very rare, but you can see that Mason's repair shop is completely gone. But it's never anything that's like damaging. All Mace things are, yeah, I purposely... Thinking.
How in the blue hell does chemistry work?
There's some stuff from the Homecoming movies, the web fluid,
I did all the instructions, but I'm just getting a fluid that looks like water but smells like piss.
and
So, I guess
that's
it's
a
just
Tyler
piss and
Hart
drinking water.
shirt. With
See more. I'm just straight up pretending school doesn't exist.
Let's
Well,
see
if you do
there's-
that, you'll never be able to learn, Jackson.
There's not much in this
What's up, guys?
scene
Harry, check out Peter's
that I can dissect. Okay, so this shot right here. This, you guys don't know this, but I spent like an hour making this, and there's a bunch of footage where that never got used because I made more than I intended. There's like planes going in the air, there's cars going around, like there's so much scenery going behind him that I ended up never using, and it's quite unfortunate. This is a Pizza Planet truck that a lot of people notice. Every truck that looks like that is actually a Roblania truck. But yeah, see, you guys see how that same car was in shot over here. Same car, but that's just because I put Mason.
Good evening, Mr.
Their
Parker.
shop
I
in
noticed
there.
that you've come in with that camera yet again. Why the pleasure of
And,
preparing your responsibility?
Well,
This
Mr. Mason, I'll have
is
you know that this time it wasn't my fault.
Mr.
Okay?
Mason.
That one and my whole body shakes.
If
This
you
is
look
Baby
really
You can tell me the main
closely,
story as long as I get
there's another World Heavyweight Championship right here. It's very hard to notice, but you know,
How's the family?
Family's good. Family's good.
RWI pop.
Time, making a clipjacking. A few hours to recreate.
Microchip fabrication is better mounting than Roxxon circuit boards.
It's just tinker. You can do the same, kid. You'll go places better than here.
Gonna go grab a bite with my friends soon.
There's an RWI, so that's an RWI flag, and then that's an RWI
Mr.
soda
Parker
can
finally
machine.
socialized.
Gwen wanted me to go to.
You'll see those logos are
Girl in
important.
Definitely
important.
not-
Scary. You know what's scary? The devil of Hell's Kitchen.
I think there's a
Well,
Roxxon
I
reference.
don't like talking.
You do you, Mr. Parker. Just make sure that you keep
He
yourself
gets the
safe.
soda and then he leaves. This audio, this what you're hearing right now, the music, made specifically for this scene, specifically. And this was inspired off the No Way Home. This soundtrack right here was inspired off the No Way Home, like kind of like rock theme that was played. I really liked it, so I made my own.
What's up, Peter? I was telling
For
Gwen
the
all about how
movie.
you invented the spider comb.
No, it's not. It's not. I didn't make that. It's a special type of web fluid thing.
There's not much here. Mr. Aziz, if you guys don't know, this is Mr. Aziz. I got the he's wearing an RWI sweatshirt.
Issues with rapid exposure to air.
If it's a mechanism, I assume you're using an electrode to trigger
There's
it?
not
just got
much here. This is ESJ. I just straight up ripped him off. I had no intent of.
you have to be?
You stupid. Sit back down. Come on, man.
If you look over here, there's a very like the. I should do this. I should have done this more often, but you can see that the glass shatters and it looks really good. And I really didn't. But it's a very small point, you know. And that's Jefferson Davis. The car is floating. I'm just realizing this now. And that's weird.
Okay, sorry.
But, you know, I also try to make sure that I got NYPD cars and not just some random police car to make it realistic to New York.
I'm so sorry to go do that. I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Because you can just have flying cars in New York, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey,
Saving my life.
There's a line that Gwen says, like, Harry's a goblin or something. And I just thought it was so corny, I removed it. I was like, I wrote it too. I don't even know why I included it. But it was so dumb, I removed it, I think on, like, the second. I went back into the movie. I already I finished it and everything, but I went back into the movie to specifically remove that line. And there was just some awkward moments in this whole conversation too. And I just needed to make it less awkward, basically. Yep, Roblania iOS 15. If you look at that right there. Yep. This is quite a long scene. Way longer than it should be. Gotta fill the time. It's like me. Poster, science poster.
Explode again.
Oh, some of the stuff on here. Italian Dream has a little cameo, and then there's The Man Without Fear, but it's taken because, you know, Daredevil has that name already. And he has a different web shooter right here. I guess you can explain in plot hole that this is the web shooter that actually works. The one that he's working on didn't work. I think that's like a Fortnite dance animation that I got. There's stock animation. Captain America reference. Captain America, so around the timeline. This is kind of like the way that I envision this universe going is that this is basically kind of like the MCU, but this is around the time Captain America would have been coming back. So Tony Stark's an established name, as you guys heard, Stark Industries, seen with Mason Shop, and Captain America would have been returning by now. So the Avengers will. Well, in the universe is set up pretty soon, so. You know, I'm not saying I'm not making a Avengers movie, but I'm just saying, like, in the universe, these superheroes do it. So it's not like so many movies where it's just Spider-Man.
I ought to get used to this. This is a lot higher than I thought. Here goes nothing.
Yep. There's some swinging, some fun stuff. I had a pretty. Oh, so the lines in this part right here are all ad-libbed by me. I did not write any of this. I'm pretty confident that I ad-libbed most of this.
Was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. This is Tombstone's theme song that I made specifically for him. I don't have the files of the song, so it probably won't make a return.
Is it done?
Ready as it'll ever be. The microchip's got enough to jack all the data you want. Banking information.
Oh, and I don't know if I pointed this out, but if you look at the microchip,
Microchip's got
the name Tinkerer is on it,
Done?
and that was just a small detail I added. It's really hard to notice, so see Tinkerer right
Chip's
there,
got enough to jack all the data you want.
and it's
Information.
3D.
And like
Oh. Spider-Man. So the Guide to Science. This right here, the Guide to Science Origin CA book is. I had different books, but I got banned for it, like APA mentioned in the chat. This hasn't. So the reason that Jackson right here is like really angry that like nothing's working with his science project or whatever is because he's reading a book that says The Guide to Science with a book. I forgot what this is called. I should know English. But there's a little like note down here that says not an actual science-based book. So that's the reason none of the stuff he's reading works. And then he's reading, so that's my render actually, and then it says Dr. A's and Dr. Otto Octavius, and they're talking about nanotechnology. It's pretty funny.
You've had it for like around half the block now.
All yours. Jackson has been.
Yep, see the future of nanotechnology.
Then I'm
Here's
gonna
just some
use the
fake
line.
books that I mean.
Gwen.
And Gwen never, I realized during the movie, Gwen asks to use this thing, but she never actually takes it. See, she just leaves, and that's just a small thing that there's some plot holes that I am not, like I realized while rewatching it.
Jackson,
It was just too late to fix them.
I've never really.
And yeah, this is a D-Pain cameo.
Excited.
nerves kicking in, eh?
This is the UWI arena
Sweat.
for those who
Don't get
don't
their
know.
competition.
And this is Roman Reigns' theme. Flash Thompson makes his entrance. The crowd actually has Origin CA in it. Heel AJC, Brian Apog, and I think there's a few other people that are in the
I
crowd.
am the human spider.
This is, I can't remember who this is, but I know I got this from.
That's not my name, dude.
Oh no, this is me. So some of the NPCs, like the ring announcer, I actually made the models myself.
Is that Penis Parker?
And
I should be asking you the same. Honestly, I don't care. You're about to eat the super punch.
there's not much.
I got it. Did I win? Dude.
Oh no, actually, there's one thing. There's one thing I do want to show. If you look at the commentary table, I don't know if I can get a shot of it or not. But if you look really closely at the commentary table,
Honestly, I don't care.
there's some movement, right? There's some movement. I don't think you're gonna be able, because depth of field is turned on, so it's kind of hard to see. I think okay, there's another thing too. I think I just left the ring announcer at the stage. I didn't mean to do that, but I guess he's just there. Jackson's eating popcorn at the commentary table. You can't see. There's slight moments where you can see the animation of his arm moving, but he's eating popcorn there. I guess I never did a shot of it. It's just a small detail. Oh, and that soundtrack that you heard in here was actually from specifically the Raimi movie. It's ripped from it.
Where's the money, kid?
This part here, the soundtrack here, is also ripped off the Raimi. An RWI flag behind him. You'll see on the floor there's more Mysterio Munch, like right there. There's a Mysterio Munch can.
Look,
This is Sloppy Gunner, who also plays Kingpin. Titan Guzma is on the city bus. There's there's some Mysterio Munch, and then there's RWI, soda can, machine, venom machine. Peter, I really like the staging. Yeah, this is my favorite in terms of animation. I think this is like my best part. This is an AVP. You can't. I don't know if you can see, but that's actually an AVP. Ghetto. Not ghetto. It's an AVP. This is an NR. You guys know the Fed NRW by Shifty? That's his logo right there. I don't know if you can see. That's his logo though. I mean, I made the logo, but you got what I mean. It's his Fed logo, and then AVP it's my logo right there as BD. And punches. Oh, okay, so this is one of the biggest things. That shot right there, where you see Peter, like, there's only like 2 shots. I should have done more though. See, Peter goes to like shoot his web. This is not actually a real anime, and you'll see it's like so realistic. This is not a real web that I did in game. This is actually from a green screen, so that's why it looks so realistic. And that's a Roblania.
You over there, you. Spider-Man.
When I first made the movie cut, I actually forgot to put a web swinging sound effect, so I had to
You can say my name.
There's a swing, and there's a small detail again, but it's very important. Peter just doesn't leave them in the trash can. He actually calls the police off screen, so you can see the police coming up here. And I guess you can infer it from an audible because you can hear the police siren, but it's just another thing that you can probably overlook. So yeah, he just doesn't leave without anything. And this feast scene, so I finished the entirety of Act 2. I finished the whole Act 2, but then I realized I really need more scenes with Uncle Ben and Peter. So I made this scene after I finished the second act, and I put it in the beginning of the, kind of as a prelude. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this. There's originally, the movie was supposed to start out with this Kingpin monologue as he was a kid getting abandoned by his father. And I actually did animate that. I did animate it, and I as like the first ever thing that I made. But I ended up cutting it because I didn't really. And if you see, that's actually I got it from Dan. I don't know his name, but Healed, like DAE. I copied this from him. This is actually Walter White Heisenberg, which is funny because later on you see Hank makes a cameo. So this is Heisenberg walking the street.
Any updates on the job?
No, not yet. Lots of part-time offers for him.
And I get another
Fine, tree.
RWI can. There's not much here.
I've been seeing some dude.
Wide
that's
Parker.
way too-
I never
know.
intended for that to be
He
Wide
looks like a
Parker,
Power Ranger.
but
Maybe a hero, maybe a cosplay thing.
he was just first on my list.
I don't really know.
Again, yep.
Hell yeah, I saw him. He was just flying around the air going
Spider-Man.
like,
So this is CJ, and I guess this guy is Miles. I guess if you want to call him Miles. I never intended it to be Miles, but Dill wants it to be Miles, so I guess it's Miles.
What the fuck was that?
And that would be the Prowler. So the Prowler is a teenager, I guess. I don't know.
Spider-Man. I think he's okay.
Another Resurrection
What do you
sweatshirt.
mean?
This is, so these were fake, obviously, but I intended to Twitter, and I think this is a really good montage that grounds it in reality. Like, you know, Twitter's a very us thing. That's Tyken cameo.
What's he doing on my
It's a
front page?
taco.
we have a massive problem.
And this is
Touchdown.
basically just
Why is it
ripped
down
from the
this
Rain
page?
movie. This
Actually,
scene
quite
right
opposite,
here.
sir. The Spider-Man is the reason
There's
we're
not
touchdown.
too
We're getting
much
too many
about
press
it.
reviews on Spider-Man.
I don't know if you can see it, but there is a shot where Jameson has a
But
gaming
Sir, if we
PC.
move it to page
I
7,
don't care, Hoffman. Get out.
the
Trying
problem
to
is that we don't
I
have
don't
decent
think there
visual.
is any shots of it. Oh yeah, no, right there. Okay. That right there is actually a gaming PC. I don't know why I added it. I
So
just
this
figured
may be
I
that
just
time,
wanted.
but
I don't know. I
Is it
just
possible if we could discuss a potential office?
I thought it would just be
Hey,
funny
man,
if I added a gaming PC.
These are
So.
me.
Yeah.
Take the pictures. Best thing in the world for a kid your age. Cereal munch.
And this penthouse. So the penthouse that AJC made is actually it's not a part of any building. There's actually a separate model for the penthouse that I just inserted on top of this building right here. So you don't actually see this when you see Spider-Man web
find the location of your business associates. We're tracking down every part as you wish.
Yeah, just some small
You know,
things. Oh, so
sure.
this shot right here is actually I actually zoomed this in because the original shot looked really ugly. So this is actually a zoomed in shot,
Business
and I
associates
just
were
think that's one
confinements
of
that
the
they put in.
things that
What
if
do you
you're
plan to
making a
do?
movie, you gotta go back,
You
and then
know,
if there are awkward
the way
camera
things are in
angles,
this world,
you can just
the city.
manually fix.
I wish nothing more than to keep the city alive.
And you'll notice on a lot of these camera angles, it never shows the other side of the penthouse. That's because the other side of the penthouse is just essentially blank, and there's nothing there. So that was the first thing I meant to do. This is another CJ model. I don't know who this is, but it's just some random guy that I found. Yeah.
Lonnie. Understood.
That is a nice purse. I don't think
Kelly
yours,
Apoth is the one
though.
getting
If we
robbed.
get out of my way before I have to beat
This is
your
Chris
fire up.
Apoth.
I'm not really into
Chris
Christmas,
Apoth.
but you could make some better choices than that.
NPC.
you freak spider.
What a night. On top of not having any of my homework done, I'm now
Okay,
late for
so
my date
this
with Gwen.
part right here, where see that guy, he says
On top of not having any of my homework done, I'm now late for my date with Gwen.
the guy who says "get off the roof" is actually me, but I'm saying it from far away, and I kind of like changed my voice a bit. I went "get off the roof," and that's actually me. So I'm talking to myself in that scene, but I'm glad people didn't notice that it was, because it would have sounded weird. How's he talking to himself? People were luckily able. They did not
Gwen,
recognize.
oh, I'm so sorry about being late. There's crazy traffic.
It's no problem, Dad.
Water's cool.
And you know that's
I like
Chris
lemonade.
Kane.
And I switched from salad with caviar on.
I added this water. I animated the scene and then I forgot to add water here. So I just
definitely
got
you.
some stock thing. There's no actual water that he spits out. It's just kind of like an audible from there. There's Among Us and NPC noobs. I thought this is my favorite. I think this is the cutest part of the movie where Peter wins her little tiny noob. Cute. And they're playing Connect 4 there. I don't know if that really. Oh, and this is also a free model, by the way. The room. This is really. I don't know where I found it, but it's really. This is okay. So I never telegraphed this, but this is the top of Midtown High. This is the, cause like, you know, No Way Home where MJ and Peter are at the top of the pool. This is Midtown High. I just never telegraphed that to anyone, so I guess it's something that's probably that gets overlooked. And there was originally going to be a part here where Peter goes in for a kiss, but then he like is too late. I ended up deleting that because it didn't go right.
I've literally only used the stuff I learned from my first.
This is APA. This is where I got the part where he says, I've literally only used, like, my first year at elementary. I got that from an argument with APA about about whether school is important or not. He comes from, I guess his schools are probably like, really underfunded, and like teachers just don't like. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. Whatever, I said it. I guess just the schools that he has really sucks, and like they're probably just underfunded, and teachers do a bad job. So we had an argument about it, and then I ended up using that as dialogue for Harry, because I just figured the rich kid who goes to public school would probably say that. It's just a funny thing that I thought was.
I've heard so much about you. Harry tells me.
And there's so originally I was gonna have Norman come in here just by himself, but then I figured it'd be more cooler if he was just cooking food. So that's why there's a boiling pot behind him.
Impressive. Your parents must be very proud.
He's got an iPhone.
The auto
Dead before my son works around dangerous weapons.
Wilson Fisk.
You name it.
Some cool stuff. I animated this shot
I know is that it's
specifically.
best to keep
And
away
if
from
you're gonna
something.
make a Spider-Man movie, I think one of the biggest things that you do is have a bunch of different transitions. Where see, just like these shots where Peter is swinging away, sharpen stuff is just. And yeah, so the web on the top of you'll notice right here, there's papers being webbed up. I don't know where I got the idea from, but I just thought it was cool. This is actually a decal. They're both decal, not a real web. And you can also see on here, there's pictures of, he's just a big RWI. Oh, there's also a UWI picture with Italian Dream right there. This is me. This is actually a little shot I did of myself. This is RWI Knockout, and that's Wrestle War. And then there's TDP defeating Cody. So there's a lot of wrestling cameos because Peter's a big wrestling fan in this universe, and I just think it's funny. That voice crack. Okay, so the voice crack. And there's also floating cans apparently on the floor. The voice crack actually comes from Jackson, and he did get his lines in. So Jackson ended up screaming what the fuck. I can't remember what it was for, but he actually ended up screaming it, and I thought it was so funny that I said, "Oh, this is when I had him casted as Jackson. Obviously, I replaced Bill." But I thought, "Oh, that's so funny. You should use that." And then like maybe because like he voice cracked unintentionally, I said we should use that for the movie, and like maybe when Jackson finds out Peter is Spider-Man, he can voice crack. And so yeah, Jackson sent over lines, and but the idea was so good when Jackson got replaced. I still asked Dill to do it, and he did it. And you'll see on the computer screen, I replaced it with some glitchy Matrix code. It's fucking cheesy and dumb, but
Listen very closely, okay? You cannot tell anyone about this ever.
Okay,
That is
yeah. What about Harry? Or May?
Check, I just said nobody.
All right.
Okay. What do you have to show me?
So, sorry. I've got a lead on a massive story that could kind of jumpstart my
Show
career at the
the
debut.
know my boy.
As you know,
know
my
boy.
dad works as the local head of construction. It's how Jameson and
20 APA.
from time to time, I'll help him with the paperwork.
I intentionally put Scott's paper towel
As
roll.
sort
I
of
don't
a
know
paper
why.
roll,
I just
which
thought it
Jameson,
was.
during an interview, my
Alright,
dad and him
what
had
is the
discussed
catch?
Lately, there's been more paperwork than usual. In fact, so much he's been doing.
And okay, so a big thing about this scene. This scene is one of the catalysts for the script dialogues. The movie was changing and I will admit now that the movie has come out and now that the movie is a very, very critical success, I will admit that I don't really like this. I don't like the story of this movie at all. So much of it was changed on the fly. Like a ridiculous amount of this movie just straight up. And by the way, guys, if you could like the stream, dope. But so much of it was just changed on the fly. Uncle Ben's death was completely changed. While the movie. That's because the origin story is it's not easy to tell, but it's definitely really not that hard to comparison to like a sequel. And a lot of it was changed. So this narrative that you're hearing probably went through 3-4 different ideas. Jackson was going to find Peter as Spider-Man, but originally they were gonna like solve crime together, and Harry was in the room, and Harry was gonna. Oh, Jackson's working on an investigation for the Bugle, but I thought it was I thought it was too unrealistic that Jackson would be solving organized crime so quickly. So I ended up having Jackson's dad and by the way, Jackson's dad is Jackson Steiner Sr., who is the Jackson Steiner that we know in wrestling. So that's just a funny little thing, and you'll see eventually. Funny because Jackson has a son called Jackson. It's very thought out. But yeah, so this scene had like 4 or 3 different versions of it, and I ended up going with this one to where I thought it was more realistic that Jackson, the curious person that he is, would find this paperwork and then find it interesting, and then but originally I was gonna have, I think they would solve a crime together, and then Peter would leave, and then he would come back after Ben dies, because there was gonna be so the next scene where they're at Mr. Mason's repair shop. It was gonna be really graphic. Like, we would still have that tombstone fight scene that you see here, but there would be a huge Mason's repair shop was gonna explode. Like there was gonna be a huge bomb that a literal bomb that Tombstone would throw to get out of the situation and destroy the evidence, being Mr. Mason. And he was gonna throw the bomb, and that's what would have killed Uncle Ben. Because Uncle Ben would have been there to pick up Peter, and then Peter was so the bomb would have killed Ben. But I figured it would. It was much better for the character if you did what the if the burglar was instead it's a really small detail. But after this fight scene, when the guy leaves, you can see that his like expression is the same, but this is supposed to show that he's mortified. He actually leaves because Tombstone's kind of gotten deranged here. Like the Spider-Man's just been really like out of his business, so he leaves and then he runs away from Tombstone to kill, and then he ends up killing the news right now process because he needs to escape Tombstone. But it's such a small detail, and I don't. It's not telegraphed to the viewer.
From now on, look out for the number 1. That means.
And him saying "I look out for the number 1" is specifically from the comics, ripped out of it.
Thank you.
There's no reverb in the vocal tracks here. I forgot to put reverb on here. Well, there is reverb, but not enough. This is a very small cutscene, by the way. You go here. Very, very, very small scene. Peter, with the camera, this is to show that he's taking pictures for the Bugle, but it's literally only like 2 seconds long. The floor here, the texture didn't end up loading, and it just wouldn't. I couldn't get it to load, and I needed to go on with the movie, so I just ended up just going.
Our lovely microchip will fit in. Which leads
This
us to you.
this
I'm gonna give
dialogue
you
scene
one
was
chance,
actually made
one chance to tell us-
before the fight scene. So this
Will be used against you in
this scene right here, where Peter drops in, was made before.
Thank you.
And
Big?
I don't know
Was
if
it big?
you guys noticed this, but
No.
this is
It's already
actually
made, but location.
this is the Bank of Roblania. I never ended up getting. I had to improvise because Link Samos didn't send his. He wouldn't. He was just taking too long to reply, I think. So I ended up improvising the scene. Originally, I was gonna have him say the Bank of
Thank you.
Roblania,
Thank
but
you for your service.
I never got the voice.
Pleasure to meet you
But that's
guys.
just another thing. If you're gonna make a movie or whatever, you gotta be able to improv a lot.
Looks like business is booming, sir. You taking on 3 men at midnight?
And yeah, there's a stupid amount of gay jokes. It's funny at the time I was writing it, but then I was just like, he's a kid. Okay, so this is the part of the world building. This whole entire map. There's a map of New York. A map of my world, not New York. It's none of this has anything to do. There's no New York monument, but you can see that there's an Oscorp sign right, which is from the Oscorp building, which I just.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will
So
be
everything's
used against
kind
you
of
in
like
court.
Wait, are you arresting
because
me?
this is there's a real world. I think I might make it a game
Hey,
so people
Spider-Man,
can like
don't
play
ever
around
interfere
with.
with our business if you know what's good for you.
Who cares, Tombstone? I'm bigger than this. I could be on TV or the news right now.
And I just love the staging in this part.
Thank
Very
you for your
nice little
service.
staging with Peter with the web and the
Oh my God,
shadow. Again, I got that line from
We got
the
him trapped.
comics. They're in front of his house. I don't know why people were very confused by this, but they
I'm
are in
sorry.
front of
It was out of the blue.
Peter's
You almost
house.
surprised him.
Why the cop is just waiting for him with with his house barricaded doesn't make sense.
Roblania
But again,
Network.
I ended
get
up
him.
changing the movie as
Your
I
aunt's
was
next door.
making
The
it.
neighbors are looking after her.
And yeah, Peter doesn't have his mask on. Kind of something that you would be alarmed with, but I did not care. And again, when I said Mason's Repair Shop wasn't there for that one shot, there's 2 versions of the city, one with the Bank of Roblania and one without. I added the Bank of Roblania here. I just swapped another building. This is near the gas station. Slight animations with cops. And okay, so this is one of my favorite things. Do you guys see how the light reacts when the shot shows Spider-Man falling? How there's lightning? There's lightning there, right? And you're like, oh, maybe you added lighting to show that there was lightning being struck. And no, this is because the lighting from the graphics, like it was loading in the lights. It was loading in like the lighting. So that's actually not for. I did not make that. That was actually like my computer changing to adjust the settings for the graphics. And I just thought it was like, oh man, this looks really dumb, and I don't have enough footage to extend this. So, and then I came up with the idea, why don't I just add a lightning strike, and then that'll make people think, oh, that was intentional. It was not intentional. So yeah, you'll see a lot of times that the lighting just like,
Should we have a chance?
you know, there's graphical here. Yep. Flashback. Hey, Sean. And this web right here is actually a force field. It does not make sense, but I just think it kind of shows that the web's wrapped around him, and I just think it looks cool. And yeah.
You saw it with your own eyes. When will people wake up and realize that everywhere
The billboard that he looks at is actually a decal, and I guess you can infer that, but in case you didn't know, I took that shot.
You're going to kill him.
Agent.
I'm sorry. This is all my fault.
Off, knife off. Yep. Drops that. Oh, so the reason that he's in a suit, because this is also never telegraphed, because there was going to be a scene where Peter stands next to Uncle Ben's gravestone. You'll notice in the movie Uncle Ben's gravestone never shows up. That's because the set never got made, so I never added it in, and I ended up just improvising. But the reason he's in a suit is actually because he went to Uncle Ben's. And that's him straight out of Uncle Ben's.
We've traced down the location we need in order to find your client, sir. The Bank of Roblania. It has all the government files necessary to disperse your identity. More important.
That's Wide Parker again. Doesn't make sense why
It has
there's
the files
two
to our
Wide
clients.
Parkers. One has. Oh, that's Kids Rock, by the way,
It has all
too.
the government files necessary to There's one
Chair. Spider-Man and I. Fresh.
These are the major amino acids of what?
And I got the decal of them, like, see on the chalkboard how there's, like, a decal. This is just from a random website where I think they were talking about spider silk. So, you see right here, the structure of spider silk. They're just talking randomly about spider silk. I got this from, it's a screenshot of a website that I just put on the chalkboard.
Fiber, specifically 42% glycine and 25%.
And they're talking
Well
about
said. Quite
spider,
impressive, Mr.
or
Parker.
spider silk
Glad to have you back.
conversation. And I love this screenshot. It's just so beautiful. Again, I think one of the things that most Roblox movies they really fundamentally fail at. There's a lot of really good animated stuff for Spider-Man, but my problem with it is that they look horrible. Like they're not visually appealing. This is visually appealing. Okay, I think this is one of the best. I mean, there's obviously way better, but this is the best being like you're not taking too much time to set up the lighting. Like this is a good standard, and I think this looks nice. See, like shots like these, see with the light reflects, and there's just like such beautiful cinematography that I just think doesn't exist in other movies. And by the way, this is not a real house. AJC just made the porch. There's no other house. There's no house behind this. It's just this is just a wall. And by the way, guys, if you could like the stream, that'd be. And just to insinuate time passing by, I made the idea. What if there was snow? So that's actually snow on the floor, and you can kind of, I guess the viewer kind of sees that time is passing by when the whole winter passes essentially. Snow particles in the air. Again, smaller details. The reason that there's a fading in there is because my computer just wouldn't like allow this part to animate. Like there was just a huge stop, so I ended up just fading it to kind of make it look more natural instead of just a cut. So that's the reason that there's some like random fades sometimes. And that's him looking at a mock-up of the Bank of Roblania. Guys, this Bank of Roblania thing was not a redone. This is literally the Bank of Roblania sized down. When I tell you, if I put my camera anywhere close to that Bank of Roblania, like a little toy set, oh my god, my PC will fucking lag because it's literally the Bank of Roblania just sized down. And I got another Roblania laptop. This is my favorite thing, the Uno stuff. Oh my god, it's so
science,
cool.
top of the class in physics, eh?
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't have to know a guy called
And the
Heisenberg,
lockers
would ya?
are way too big. I don't know why I never resized them. Hank Schrader, I
No, I
got it
always
from
thought
a
about
TikTok. If you guys are wondering how I got the Hank Schrader cameo, no, I do not know the guy who plays Hank. I got it from a TikTok cameo that talking about, a guy named Heisenberg, something like
These
that.
dances, but Harry was always with another girl, and you don't really do dances, so this is crazy. Well, figured you might as well give it a try.
Yep, and I made
So,
sure to
great
add
you found
that
someone, Peter.
prom
Thanks,
sign
Jackson.
over there.
Oh shit, I'm at a third wheel.
A lot of slow details. So, Harry's Lambo is one of the things that's not consistent is that you'll see in front of Midtown High. You guys see how there's buildings here? If you look at all the other shots of the movie, like in the beginning of the movie where they're having a conversation in front of the school. There's no fucking buildings in front of the school. And I guess nobody just noticed, but I just wanted the place to feel really closed in. So I artificially added these buildings in front. They're not in the beginning of the movie. So there's just stuff that like,
Jackson,
and again, you just have to be really, really
Yes,
sly with
this is
it
Liz.
to get away
We're
with
gonna have a
it.
great night. And
But yeah, and I purposely made this green and blue.
great midnight. If you guys know.
One
what I
to
mean.
match the,
So,
or I think I
Mr.
got this
Osborne
from
arranged
someone
this,
else. I don't know, but I
Yeah, I did.
remember I
Talking
got the
about a
green
different Mr.
tie
Osborne
because I
area.
wanted
That's real funny. Jack,
I wanted
what's
it to
your-
reflect, you know,
Bro,
some
guys,
goblin,
Yeah, I'll see you
goblin
guys inside.
stuff.
I got some Mary Jane if you guys.
Sports,
You know what, Peter? On February 14th.
And that line right there, you know what, Peter on February 14th, that was gonna be from the deleted scene where Harry is talking. Harry, Peter, and Jackson all share a scene together. What he says in that line, because that line was recorded for a whole different scene. I improv'd this whole entire part. So I needed some lines, and I wasn't about to ask Dill, hey, can you just say some I was just like, oh, no, I just want to the deleted. So he actually says, on February 14th, I'm going to unleash as much hate and negativity as I can, but it's muffled out. So that's what he's saying there.
Hey, Peter.
Hey.
You know, eventually you're gonna have to give me something else other than flowers.
Okay, so she says, you're going to have to give me something else other than flowers. Now, in the movie, you can just say, oh, well, he got flowers for prom. Because you can see that Peter over here, when he goes to ask Gwen for prom, he gives her a rose. The reason Gwen actually says that is because in the original script, there's a lot of parts. Okay, so oh my god, this is a huge like tidbit. But in the original first draft of the movie, that voice line was recorded because Gwen actually knows Peter. Gwen does not know Peter Spider-Man in the movie. By the end, I ended up I decided to not have Gwen. But that line is actually because in the first draft of the movie,
Maybe I can give you the next dance.
Okay, yeah.
so and Peter, and because like you know in the TASM films, Garfield would come in and give her flowers, and Peter was gonna come in and give her, I think, like a rose or like a flower, and Gwen would say, you know, something, you're gonna have to give me something other than flowers, blah blah blah. And yeah, this is a free model gym. AJC made a whole entire gym that we just never got able to use. It was really detailed, like Midtown High posters and everything, but that's it. So I had to make everyone here dance, which, guys, was a pain. It was presets and everything, but it was a pain to have to go through every single person and make sure that they were all dancing at the same time. This picture is from Uncle Ben's death. And it's the exact shot you see in the movie, but I was too lazy to get a whole shot for this scene because I just wanted the movie.
Wait, Peter.
This soundtrack
You
is
really
an
gonna
original
put yourself in
soundtrack.
danger?
This song
You could easily just
inspired
move
off
away for one
of
night.
"Scared of the Dark."
You know what's that
I
song?
remember someone said "Scared of the Dark" in the chat, and
You know what happens
they
when I
thought
give
it
up.
was the actual song.
Spider-Man is
This
no
is the
magic wand,
first
but thanks to
like,
the webhead,
chord,
we might have a fighting chance against bad
which
guys like our
was a
cavemen.
very
But even if you do
it was a
that,
testament
people
to
will still despise
my
you.
work on the song.
So what if nobody throws a parade for me?
I wanted that.
Uncle Ben
impression.
really quick with me turning my back when others needed the most. He told me that with great
And for
power
this scene, I really tried to make my voice break, cause you can't really show tears, so I needed to kind
Also
of
come
show
with
that there was
responsibility.
some like, emotional stuff happening. And this boom sound effect is from my trailer kit that you'll actually see in some of my original music. And like if I make a theme, that boom is on the trailer pad. Pretty cool. And again, yeah, guys, you'll see the gas station. And I wasn't lying when I said it's next to the gas station. That's part of the gas station right there. And then you'll see later on in the film, they're at Peter's, Spider-Man's at the gas station, but there's no big Roblania. And that's because, again, I just inserted this stuff in there. And a lot of stuff is just changed specifically for and this scene was inspired off of the Spider-Man PS4 stuff, where he's like webbing people. Again, Tinkerer on the
Hey, Tombstone.
microchip.
the wall crawler is back. And I gotta say, this lighting really does you justice.
Accept your demise, Spider-Man.
Alrighty.
Sean did a
Well, so you can go-
fantastic job
Okay,
voicing.
okay.
Fantastic. Throws it, yep. All these punches. And there's not too much to this scene. Good shots.
Accept your demise.
The side door's open for you.
Okay, so the lighting is glitching again. Nothing I can do about that.
Mr. Spider-Man, sir?
And you'll see in the background right here,
Everyone get out
they're
of here.
kind of like waddling away comically.
Mr. Spider-Man, sir?
I just thought that was fun.
How did you do that?
And this is the same kid from the beginning of the montage. I guess this is Miles Morales. And obviously CJ the Prowler.
Well, I'll work out, get plenty of rest. You know, eat my vegetables, of course.
Aaron
For now,
Davis.
kids, get out of here, okay?
And Jefferson Davis, so the whole family, I guess, is here. Minus mom. Chandelier on the floor. So, again, it's really hard to notice. You won't see this in the film, but I did animate Tombstone crawling away. Tombstone gets away. You're not going to see it. Like, you can... I think there might be a shot where you see Tombstone under the chandelier. He's still in the chandelier. But, yeah, so... Right there. Tombstone is still on the floor. I animated him crawling away, so he does get away in this universe. And Tombstone does get away from the cops, and he never gets arrested. But, you know, it's off screen, and I never showed a shot of him crawling away. So right now is where he'd be crawling away, and obviously. But that's why when he goes to throw it, you'll notice why is Tombstone gone off the floor. That's by design. That's because he crawled away. Just a small thing with the lore. Oh, and you gotta be really plentiful about like the webbings. So like him webbing him stuff. The two webs here are actually the same two webs. I think the same. They're the same parts. They're the same parts, and that's because you have to be really sparing about how many parts. Because I don't want like a billion parts. I ended up just adding multiple parts as the webs onto his chest, and I just reused that for this fight scene. So it looks new, but it's really not.
I'll give you.
And again, it's just saving time. This is a whole fade, and there's no actual him moving the mask. And I tried animating him taking the mask off, but it was just way too complicated because of his hair and stuff. So,
No, I can't ever look the other way again.
and I'm very proud of the kick up animation. Looks really. When Peter drops, that sound effect right there is actually from the Spider-Man PS4 game. I have Spider-Man PS4, so I ended up recording some of the sound effects because I got really desperate for it. Oh, and me coughing there is actually because when I was recording that, I was sick. So those coughs are like extra impactful because it's actually me sick. When I was recording the voice lines for this, I think I was sick.
You should know
So my voice is strained.
about me, Wilson, is I will never fall without struggle.
I'm very proud of that voice line. That's basically Tombstone. Oh, and that safe house where the door opens, that's all gold and money. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that's all gold and money. And this bank was completely built by me and Aegis. So, this is a custom built bank. And again, there's only a few shots where the lighting, see how like there's yellow grainy stuff? Oh, and okay, so the sun. You'll notice that like sometimes the sun is perfectly in the shot. And it's like, why is the sun perfectly in the angle that it needs to be? Guys, I just move the sun to wherever I want it. So, the sun just moves around freely. Which makes no sense if you think about it. Because how is the sun gonna just move randomly from angle to angle? That's by design. There's some random people in the background. I didn't bother to. Joe's Pizza.
He's a menace. Spider-Man decides to pull up after the good.
Apologies. APA made an interior to Joe's Pizza, and I ended up the exterior is used, but the interior was so ugly, I never ended up got a free model instead. I'm sorry APA, but it was so bad. And yeah, I made that decal. It was pretty fun. Mason's Repair Shop is actually one of the billboards on the sign, or the ads on the poster. If you see in the background, Kaylee Apoth is there, and then there's Max Navarro. Max Navarro chilling right
As a
there.
criminal, amateur. The dude stops criminals, sure, but he's a coward. Cannot get the job done.
Maybe it's not his job to decide who.
And if you'll notice, it's a slight thing, but Harry's the only one with ears in this
Well,
universe.
aside from that, what do you guys want to do after graduation? You got
And
all
that's
summer?
Kid Rock without the hair.
Where to spend? It'll be
The
more nights
guy
in
in
the
the
room staring at
orange
ceiling.
shirt.
Okay, different question. What'd you guys put for your... What do you mean? Anyways, are we still up for lunch tomorrow? As long as things don't change. Isn't that okay? Mr. Davis? Look, man, we really gotta have a conversation about your behavior. Isn't that okay? Mr. Davis, I think you got this one.
We're a weird guy, Spider-Man.
Something you can do.
I know you came here to talk. But I feel like there's nothing I can say or do.
See, again, I moved the sun
Just 'cause it's what I
specifically to
did.
be in the
There is
shot.
something you can do, Peter.
I apologize.
There's not too much to the scene.
So for that,
Nothing too interesting.
I'll always be there to take
So
care
for the final swing, I actually made it
I'll always be
before I even had the first act done. I made the final swing. There's a separate, I got started on the final swing, but I ended up being like, I'm not gonna be able to replicate the thing that I made like a year ago. So I just figured, why don't I just use the thing that I made from a year ago and I just reuse it. And oh man, I'm gonna have to slow this down so you guys can see the cameos that are in the background. So right there, that's ESJ sitting really angry on the bench, and he hired a guy in a bear costume to hold up a Stop ESJ Slander sign. So that's ESJ very annoyed and frustrated with the little billboard, and it's just a funny thing. And that's Shonapod. Or I guess Aaron Davis, the brother. And I believe there's a Captain America sign somewhere, but I might have run past it.
Everything may seem, I won't give up. Anyone can win a fight when the odds are easy.
And
When it gets tough,
pretty
there
much
seems to be no chance.
that's about it. I think for the so I added the slide for Omni Orange specifically because the credits right here, this whole thing was like 10 gigabytes, and I didn't even realize it, but it was literally 10 gigabytes worth of I don't know why I got it from a template. This credit thing, I don't know why it was so much storage, but why is not much to this. I think he smokes. Someone pointed out in the chat he's smoking from the wrong side of the cigarette or cigar, whatever. That's Max Navarro again, the guy with. Oh, and to show that the symbiote comes from space, like it does in the comics, there's a NASA symbol on that. Purposely put in there for. And that's it. That's pretty much the breakdown on the movie. There's probably 100 stuff more. But, yeah. Pretty much it. Longer than a year to make. There's a bunch of subtle details and errors. So, you know. You guys enjoyed that.